All right. Good afternoon, every morning, I guess, still for most of us. Thank you all so much for being here. If you were joining us for our Go Live, thank you for taking a minute to join us. Those of you who are watching recorded, we're so glad that you're here to listen to our wonderful presentation today. We have a fabulous guest today. We've got Bruce Langford on the line. Bruce is going to be talking about mindfulness, and so I'm very excited to hear what you have to say, Bruce. So again, those of you who are coming in either for live or viewing this after the fact, if you have any comments or suggestions or feedback, if you're in here live, you can do that through the chat. Mike's going to be manning the chat. And those of you commenting below in this post, we look forward to hearing what you have to say and in our fabulous community. So thank you so much for being here, everyone. And Bruce, I'm going to just go ahead and get started and pass it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited, and I have a special interest in this because my wife is a critical care trauma nurse, and so I see how she copes, and I know it's so challenging at times, but I've been working in mindfulness for quite some time, about 10 years, and I started my mindfulness podcast back in 2015. So I started interviewing people who are experts on this topic back then, and I've now interviewed over 900 people. So we've talked a lot about healthcare. We've talked a lot about surviving through some of these huge challenges that so many people have. And in nurses, that is no exception, because it is very challenging to be a nurse in today's environment in healthcare. And so in mindfulness, I talk about different aspects of mindfulness, and mindfulness is essentially just living in the moment and realizing that we can escape from not worrying so much about the past, not being so concerned about the future, but just being grateful for this very moment. And that's essentially what mindfulness is. But through mindfulness, I find that we touch on so many other aspects of living, which include breathing and learning about the importance of deep breathing and different kinds of breathing exercises that can help you when you feel like you are going through a lot of stress and frustration. And meditation, we can touch on that because that can really help people survive and thrive. And movement and exercise can help people so much. And one of the other things is food. What are we putting into our bodies? And I know for myself, at times, I'm guilty of emotional eating, and it's pretty hard not to, when you're stressed out, and nurses can be so stressed out. So I am just touching on some of the aspects of mindfulness, and I'm completely open for questions or any kind of dialogue that you want to have, or I can tell you more aspects about mindfulness and what I have to share. So do you have any specific questions about this topic?
I do. I was just wondering, so, nurses are on such a busy schedule.
Yes.
And they have to balance so many different patients. And when they find themselves being overwhelmed with all of that, I know that mindfulness is a great way to help them recenter and bring them back to just the now, right? But there's a lot of now at the time. Can you help us with what to focus on exactly when you're trying to do a mindfulness practice right in the center of that kind of chaos, like a quick thing they could do?
Yeah, for sure. One of the quick things that you can do is have a specific affirmation that you can go to. So a lot of times our mind gets away from us, and we start feeling all kinds of stress and negative thoughts, and those negative thoughts start spiraling. And if you have one particular affirmation that you can go to that will help you to be calm, then you can just go to that affirmation and think of it over and over. And so it could be something as simple as, I have the ability to remain calm and relaxed. And if you just say that several times, it's surprising how calm and relaxed you begin to feel. It's something that what it's doing is it's replacing those negative thought patterns with a positive thought pattern. and you can choose an affirmation which is perfect for you, and it really can be anything that has, calming words, soothing words, something that helps you feel relaxed. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely. That's really helpful. I've heard another thing too that I was going to ask you about. I've heard that some nurses use the trick of just going to wash their hands. Like, I'm completely overwhelmed, so let me try to focus on the moment by washing my hands, as if they're telling their mind, like, I'm washing my hands of everything that is stressing me out right now, and I'm focusing on the touch of my hand and the coolness of the water. Is that something you would recommend doing, or do you have another trick with touch or anything to get people to focus on a specific situation instead of all of the stuff buzzing around them?
Sure, that can be a really good thing to do, because, of course, nurses need to make sure that they're washing their hands on a regular basis anyway. But if you can really be, really be in the moment when you're doing it, but not just doing it on autopilot, but thinking, how does my skin feel? How do my knuckles feel? How does my thumb feel as I feel it with the other hand? And these kinds of thoughts. So that's a really good suggestion. And sometimes I say to some of my clients, just take a second and just touch your thumb on your first finger and just feel how that feels, and press it and let go, and see how lightly you can press together without letting go. And just think about that for a moment, and that will take you into the present moment without even going anywhere or doing anything, just simply doing that with your thumb and first finger.
I love that. You don't even need a sink and water.
Right, exactly.
Yes. Sometimes you don't have the 20 seconds you need to wash your hands. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Dry, so yeah. So I wanted to ask also, do you ever feel, being in a busy, and since your wife's a critical care nurse, busy environment, and trying to find that, do you ever encourage, when you're trying a mindfulness exercise, to let your patient participate with you? Or would you think this is more something that has to be drawing back from the patient? Sometimes you're just so in the mix, anything, maybe. Is there a way to do that, or is that not a good idea?
Well, most of her patients, almost all of them, are on life support. So, they're not in a cognitive state where they can really participate in this. But if they were, I'm sure she would be doing some things to bring them and her into the moment, like just taking a moment and saying, let's just take a deep breath together. Or maybe if she could take that person's hand and just be there with that person at that time. And there are ways to do that, even if the person is on life support, because sometimes they make eye contact and there is a connection that way. And of course, with tactile, she can take their hand or touch their body and have them feel that presence, even though she may not even be aware if they are aware. But it can help her be in the present moment, and potentially help the patient be in the present moment also.
Okay. And what about when you get home from work and you'd like to get mindful, but your mind's still racing because the patient died, somebody else crashed, you're so wound up, and you think, I'm going to get mindful, but too many thoughts intrude. Any tricks for getting out of that cycle?
Yeah, absolutely. I just walked downstairs about an hour ago, and she had come home from work, and Darlene was moving her body, moving her arms, just stretching and just doing some very easy and gentle movements. And I think that's what helps her a lot, because I think what she tends to want to do is just sink into the recliner chair, put her feet up, and just like, oh. And I know a lot of her colleagues say, I just can't wait to get home and have a glass of wine or five. And, that's not such a good idea. Using alcohol, that's not the best idea. You can become dependent on it. Movement is way better, and breathing and meditation. Those are much better choices.
Okay.
And I actually have. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. I didn't know you were talking.
Yes, I actually, I hear a lot about grounding, right? Whether it's grounding in the moment by feeling the chair you're sitting in, but I'm referencing more of grounding in connection with like the actual earth, where you like take your shoes off and you kind of stand there. Do you have any information about that? Because that, to me, that's always kind of piqued my interest. So I'd like to, I don't know, I'd like to know a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's really good to make contact with the earth. So if you can go outside and just take your shoes and socks off and just walk on the earth and feel the ground beneath your feet, that is an excellent way to feel grounded. And sometimes, it's pretty cold in where I am in Canada, but it can really be a positive thing where you can really feel that feeling of the earth and feel your feet as you make contact with the earth. So being grounded is very important, and that can help you to live in the moment and just really feel like you are embracing mindfulness. So I really recommend that for sure.
Probably easier for Kira than the rest of us.
I'm in Florida. I can just like walk on the beach. We don't have any snow.
Yeah, for sure. That's great.
So,
all right.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I want to just jump in.
Yeah.
I when I was thinking about this, I know we're all, I don't want to say preaching to the choir, but we're all interested in this topic. So any advice, and I know that you're a coach and I know you work with all different types of people, but like, let's say that we were working with someone, being with someone, could be a patient or a client for me. They're not necessarily interested in doing a mindfulness practice.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there something that maybe something benign and passive that we can use? You mentioned, your wife does things with touch with her patients, but they're not necessarily conscious.
Yes.
What's something a little, with a conscious person that we can, would it be weird to say, hey, before we get started, can we take a minute and have a moment of silence or breathe together? I mean, that seems weird.
Yeah.
But do you have any practical advice for that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, it can seem weird, but once you do it and you just do it in a very natural, very comfortable way, just be very calm and very quiet with your patient and just say, let's just take a moment to just be calm and quiet. Whatever language is comfortable for you, so that it doesn't sound like you're doing something weird, and most people will respond to that, human touch, and just like, let's take a moment to be calm and quiet. And I'm just going to let you know that you're in my hands, and I'm going to do my very best over the next few hours to help you feel comfortable and relaxed. I just want you to know that. And as you're noticing, I'm just keeping my voice tone in a calm mode. I'm like, you got to be careful, because in a nursing environment, in a hospital healthcare environment, there's so much going on, and you've got so much pressure, and you're thinking, well, what's my next patient? And you can feel the pressure if you allow it, and then your voice goes a little higher, and there's a little more tension in your voice. And so you can just consciously bring your voice back down in that moment for that patient, and just say to your patient, look, it's going to be you and I for a few minutes here. We're just going to have a quiet 30 seconds. And I just, and you can hear my voice going down, and you can do that too. And it just takes a little bit of practice to allow your voice to just be as relaxed as possible. And, I recommend just hit record on your phone and just give that a try. Do a couple of practice runs and play it back and see, does my voice sound relaxed, or does my voice sound high pitched and stressed? And, do I feel tension when I listen to my voice? And you can control that. So it can make a big difference.
I think you have to know a little bit about your patient. I found that works with sometimes an angry patient, especially an angry patient that doesn't know what's going on, like in an ER, or just came in, or maybe doesn't want to be there. So that is a good I have found that helpful with, especially because it's hard to when you're in a hospital or a nursing home or something. It's hard to stay angry for a long time because there's so much going on. So taking that little space, I never called it mindfulness, but I have just said, okay, let's start all over. Let's get calm and let's just kind of take a breath. And sometimes that will help with a very angry patient.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Deb, that you don't need to call it mindfulness. You
Yeah.
don't need to say, hey, we're going to do a meditation here, or we're going to, you don't need to say anything like that, because that can really flip people out. It can make
Yeah.
people uncomfortable.
Yes.
And one of the things that I've done with quite a number of the healthcare professionals that I've worked with in my practice, and I'm a master hypnotist. I was trained with the National Guild of Hypnotists. So I use hypnosis with my people that I work with. But one of the first things I do to help them to start to feel relaxed is I record a custom meditation, which is just my voice talking about some specifics that apply to that person and just helping them to become calm. So when they get home from work, they can put that recording on, sit down and relax and just hear my voice talking to them about their specific situation and how they can get back in the moment. And I'm going to offer that to anyone here on the call, anybody listening. You can send me an email, bruce@mindfulnessmode.com, and I'll create a custom meditation for you to help you relax in that way. So just reach out to me and I'd be happy to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. I may take you up on that.
Yeah.
Please do.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of my questions was going to be, I heard you say when we were talking earlier, and maybe you said it in your intro, that you've interviewed hundreds of people,
yes,
right, about mindfulness, and that you've worked with healthcare professionals. Is there something that really stands out about the interviews or the healthcare sector that you can say, this is a common question or a common challenge, and here's how we've kind of talked and addressed about it before?
Yeah, there are a number of things that stand out. One of them is to do with breathing. When I first started my podcast, I thought, okay, I'll talk to my people that I interview about breathing, but I feel a little silly because breathing is something we all know about. We all breathe. This sounds a little silly to say, okay, let's talk about breathing. But I now know it's not silly at all. Everybody acknowledges that, yes, this is something that we all can improve. We can all use a little breathing practice, a little tip or two about how to just get into the deep breathing state, because as nurses, it is really stressful in there, and that's what our body does. Our body tightens up and our shoulders tighten up, and before we know it, we're not relaxed and having the deep breath experience. So breathing is one of those things that can really make a big difference. Now, a lot of the people on my show have mentioned the book Breathe. No, it's called Breath by James Nestor. And it is really an excellent book, but you don't need to read a book. You don't need to read a book about this. Just make the point of just pausing, taking a deep breath for the count of 4, and pause for 2, and let it out for 4. And just do that. And it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. So breathing is really important for those of us who are in stressful professions.
Mm-hmm. So I've heard breathing basically kind of resets the limbic system, the fight or flight, like desire that your body has right then if it's overstressed, to say, I need to fight this now, or I need to run away, when you can't, right? And it will help you re-engage your frontal lobe that can actually make smarter decisions about these things. Is that something that you teach people when you are doing the coaching too? Or do you try to just stay focused on, hey, just breathe? Because I've found in my experience, sometimes people are defensive and they can be like, look, I don't want to hear, all that stuff. Just tell me what to do, right?
Exactly. In my initial session, I get to know my client. We talk about some of these things, and you can pick up right away whether somebody's comfortable to move into more information about deep breathing and some exercises, or whether they're not comfortable with that. Maybe it's a person that you need to talk more about some of the other aspects of mindfulness. You're finding out that they're having some issues with substances of some kind. And it could be even food, like so many people find that they're emotionally eating foods that are not serving them. Or it could be, like I said earlier, alcohol or soft drinks or something like this that's causing some problems, because there's a lot of different ways we can become more relaxed and more happy by getting into nature, just getting out there and enjoying a little bit of nature, sometimes even as simple as putting a nature video on YouTube and having on your desk a little water fountain of some kind, and it can help you relax.
And all of that will like reset your system to get out of fight or flight and into being able to think rationally again. What do you think it is about breathing particularly that does that? Because I've heard definitely that it's like, it's the buzzword and it's the fastest way. And even I do it when I get like really upset, I'll be like, hold on, I've got some like flooding right now. I need to breathe. And I've gotten to the point where I can do the breathing exercise and it'll be like, maybe 2 minutes. And now I can talk like rationally about it, where before I would definitely not be, rational. I'd be starting a fight. What do you think it is about breathing that can reset it so quickly for you?
It's so amazing because, and it's what I said before, so many of us take breathing for granted, and we're thinking, oh, breathing, yeah, well, whatever. Yeah, of course I know how to breathe. But that is true. It can make such a huge difference if you just take the time to realize that, hey, maybe I'm not breathing deeply enough. Maybe I'm holding tension in my chest, neck, and shoulders, and even my jaw. And I can release that tension by doing some deep breathing. And it can make a huge difference. And so I also do Wim Hof breathing, and that can really make a difference as well. And Wim Hof is, I don't know if you know who Wim Hof is. He's someone who advocates ice baths, ice showers, cold showers, and that kind of thing, which gets your blood moving and helps your circulation. But he also has a breathing method, because what happens is if you immerse your body in ice cold water, you immediately have to begin breathing differently. Your body reacts that way, and it's like you feel like and it does something to you where you immediately begin to breathe differently. And so you can learn a lot about that kind of breathing too by just going on a Wim Hof Facebook group and learning from the people on there about how to do deep breathing.
Can you spell that name for me?
Yeah, WIM space
Wim.
HOF.
Perfect.
So it's a person's name who created this.
I give oxygen all the credit with deep breathing. I mean, oxygen to me is the most important thing in life. As soon as you get more oxygen, your blood vessels dilate. You're picking up the oxygen in your red blood cells. So I credit oxygen for everything. I'm not sure I'd be a fan of the cold jumping in the cold.
Yeah, I don't want to know one either.
I've done that a few times on challenges and not relaxing to me.
It's not for everybody.
With hypnosis, I'm super interested in that too. I'm sure we all are, right? We find it really interesting. Like, can you tell us, I'm sure it's not the most simple answer, but what is the key to hypnosis that can actually make it change your behavior?
Well, the key is your subconscious mind, because we all have things going on in our subconscious mind that we're not aware of. We have our conscious minds and we are thinking all the time, and there's all sorts of things happening there, but we don't realize sometimes that there's way more happening in our subconscious mind. And so with hypnosis, once you relax and get into a hypnosis state, then what happens is some things come out, like maybe some traumas that have happened when you were a child, and and you can get to the point where it becomes apparent that some of these traumas have caused thoughts to be going in a circular motion in your subconscious mind on repeat and are really controlling you, and you're not even aware of that. And through hypnosis, we can help you to release those thoughts, to just let go of them in sometimes 2 or 3 sessions is all it takes. And I've had so many healthcare people that I've worked with, and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even remember that event that happened when I was like a child. And now I realize that that event has really made a huge difference in how I think and how I do my work. And once I was aware of that, I was able to let go of it through hypnosis. I'm so much more relaxed at work and so much more relaxed with my whole life at home, with my family, and at work.
So it's like recognizing places of, excuse me, like recognizing places of trauma and being able to like identify them and how they have affected your decision making and your ability to control your emotions and all that. How would you let go of that? Like, do you just say, now let go of it? Because that sounds like, right, easier said than done. And I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you can't give us the exact 1, 2, 3s, but I'm just so curious.
Well, the first thing is a willingness to do it. That's the first thing. You have to be willing to do it. Sometimes people have directed me to someone, and they've said, well, my husband has got a lot of stress, so I want him to do hypnosis with you or something like that. And that doesn't work. You have to be willing to do hypnosis. You have to be open to it and embrace it. And in a lot of cases, I find that a lot of the people I work with, they'll say to me, oh, I've tried everything. I've tried so many different methods, and now I'm just at my wit's end, and I'm just going to try hypnosis as a last resort. And so many times, then they are completely willing to just go to wherever they need to go to do this. They're not holding back. They don't have this tension like, oh, I don't know about this, and I don't know if I want to do it. They're like, okay, I'm just going to do this thing. And they're relaxed. And then I'm able to take them into a state of hypnosis. And then we just take our time and we just go back and go back. And then before long, we're in a place where things are being revealed from the subconscious mind, that then we're able to go through that, and we're able to deal with it and then let it go in the conscious mind. So that's how that works.
Wow. Yeah, I feel like we could have like a whole session just on understanding hypnosis. It is very intriguing. Mm-hmm. I know our time is actually coming to an end. We've been talking for almost 30 minutes. So I want to just ask, I know that you had mentioned how people can reach out to you with questions. So 2 questions. One, we can post your website down in the comments when we post the video. So, and I think Mike has that, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And then if anybody wanted to reach out to you for coaching, right, they would just go to your website?
That's right. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then we'd love to have you back, Bruce.
Oh, I'd love to come back.
That was great. It was really good.
Yes. So if you're willing, maybe we can get that on the calendar. But those of you who are here or are listening to this recorded, if you have any questions or suggestions of things you want to hear Bruce talk about, put it in the comments, and then we'll make sure he gets that information. And then Bruce, maybe we can come back after the first of the year. We can kind of just pick up where we left off. I love this conversation, and I'm very grateful for you to be here today.
Yes, it was great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Bruce. This is a great topic.
Thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
I love all the practical advice in this.
Not just the practicality of it, but honestly, for those of you who don't know, a little personal bit about me. I have an electrician here, and his helper fell through my ceiling just moments before. So my blood pressure is up. I mean, there's stuff everywhere, right? And honestly, just listening to your voice, but also the pace. I have a tendency to speak faster. So listening to your slower pace and your deeper voice and bringing my mind into the moment of the conversation has been incredibly helpful. So, fate, I don't know, but thank you for being here. It was wonderful.
You're welcome.
To hear that, and I look forward to continuing our conversation. So,
my pleasure.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck with everything over there, Elizabeth.
Yeah, take video, lots of video. I want to see it all.
Yeah.
I think you should post that in the Care for Nurses case.
This is what stress looks like, right?
No, behind the scenes of this podcast.
Now I'm sure you hear my dog who's responding to the, all the information or the noise in the back. So anyway, thank you all so much. It was a pleasure to be talking to you today, Bruce, and y'all have a great rest of your week.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.